Too often business owners today are focusing on the little things in business. They're ordering supplies, dealing with employees, and dealing with customers, when what we should be focusing on is the most important thing, cash flow. I've grown over 10 businesses from the ground up. In this podcast, you'll learn the ins and outs of building a business and how to build transferable value. And most importantly, you'll learn how to maximize cash. They call me Cashflow Mike, and this is the clear path to cash. Hey, it's Cashflow Mike, and welcome to the Clear Path to Cash podcast. And it's episode 6, and I'm doing something different, right? So we're kind of updating the look and the feel. I'm even recording, right? So I'm even going to record how this thing works and how we're doing it. So why don't we get going? And today's topic, right? I'm going to start right off there. I'm just jumping right into it. In today's topic, we are going to talk about something I often teach, and that's successful business owners must be a chameleon. And here's what I mean by that. In order to be successful, you have to make that positive first impression. You know, just on just about everyone you meet. I mean, that's how you build your network. That's how you create the actual, vibe that you want your customers to feel. But the question is how do you do that? Right. So, and the reason why I chose this topic is just last week I saw a business owner, and he's obviously having a bad day. He's just having a bad day, like maybe you would or I would. But his demeanor alone was pushing business away. People just didn't want to deal with him. Just the way he was answering questions, people didn't want to deal with him. So this episode is going to give you a technique to attract the attention of all your customers, when you first meet them, without pushing them away, right? So that's what we're going to dig into, and I'm going to use what's called a social styles model. If you don't know that, when I start talking about it, it may come back to your mind. You may have seen this before, heard this before, but it's based on the social styles model. All right, so let's get into it. But first, let me just tell you something about how to connect with me. Right. First of all, you can go to cashflowmike.com, and on the podcast section, we've got all the show notes and any links that are mentioned in this episode. You can get them right there on cashflowmike.com. Go right to podcast on the tab. And something brand new that I just launched this week, I'm really proud of. I had some help putting this up and getting it together. But I've got my own YouTube channel now. So you've got a YouTube channel where you can go and connect with me. And if you missed the podcast or you want to see, I guess what I look like, while I'm doing this, you can just search for Cashflow Mike, and subscribe. Hey, subscribe to that channel. Also make sure that you click the bell. That way you can be notified of future episodes, right? So every time I put one out there, you're going to be notified that it's up and running. And if you have a favorite listening platform, if you got something that you like iTunes or Spotify, Google Play, just subscribe and more importantly, leave a review. Let me know what you think about this, because I tell you what, this is a work in process. I hadn't done this before, and this is only episode 6. So thanks for listening, and let's get right to what I wanted to talk about, and that is successful business owners must be a chameleon. Here's what I mean by that. When you're a chameleon, that means you're addressing people the way they like to be addressed. Now, we all have best friends, right? There's somebody that you like better than anyone else in the world. There's got to be somebody. So here's the question I ask when I'm doing seminars, when I'm working, out in the public. I said, why do you like that person? Right? What is it about that person that you like? You go, oh, and it's one of the hardest questions in the world to answer is why you like someone else. What is it about them? Is it just you picked one person, you say, I pick you, you're going to be my best friend, and you guys do everything together? Chances are it's a hard question to answer, but more realistically, it's that you guys connect because you talk to each other in a manner that you like to be talked to, right? It's a lot easier to talk to somebody when they're talking to you in a way or a manner that you like to be talked to. You're not instantly put off. You've seen those people in networking events and you're like going, God, that guy's just made it. Everybody likes him. Everybody wants to hear his stories. They kind of gravitate over towards him, and they want to, hear what he has to say. Well, what he's done is learn to read his audience and communicate in a way that they like to be talked to. And believe it or not, we all have a social style, and your ability to read, interpret, and then respond to someone else's social style is actually going to put you in a better position to make a better impact in their lives. One of the things I like to say, or the example is, let's pretend you're out buying a car. You're going to go buy a car. Nobody really likes to do that. But if you're buying a car, let's say you can get the same car in 3 different locations in your town. One to the front of you, left and right, or north, east, and west. And they're all 1 mile apart. So distance from your house doesn't matter. At each location, you can get the same exact car, same color, same style, same features, same price even. Who do you buy from? Well, the answer is more likely going to fall on the guy you like or the girl you like, right? You're going to go in and you've experienced it. I've experienced it where somebody just turns you off instantly. You're just like, there's something about them when they start talking, I just don't want to listen to them. I don't like them. They're too pushy. They're too aggressive. They're timid. They're meek. It doesn't matter. There's something about them that doesn't jive. So you tend to gravitate towards people you like. And you've probably heard it in the past, people buy people, not products. And that's what I'm talking about today. It's about people buying people and not products. So, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 says this best, right? He talks about how people don't make decisions with the outer layers of their brain, right? That neocortex, the Homo sapien type brain, because that's where rational thought and language and all that is formed. We actually make decisions on the inner parts of our brain called the limbic brain, right? And that's where your actual feelings happen. It's where decisions are made. It's where, you might even tell yourself, say, you know what, I don't know why I feel this way, but it just doesn't feel right. You might have all the facts, all the figures, all the logic in the world of why you should do something and still make the decision not to do it. And one of the reasons why you make the decision not to do it is it just doesn't feel right. Why do we say it doesn't feel right? Right? Because we can't explain why it doesn't work. And really what happens is that people connect, and we like to do business with people who believe the same things that we believe, right? Or talk to us in the way that we like to be talked to. So with that in mind, that's how you have to address each and every customer, is be able to interpret them in the first 5 to 15 seconds and then respond to them in a way that they like to be talked to. So I'm going to break down what I call the 4 social styles, right? And the ones I'm going to be talking about is the driver, the expressive, the amiable, and the analytical. So if you look at a box, right, it's just a box and put it in 4s, each one of these put in a box where, the more relationship oriented you are, you're going to be off to the right side of the box where the drivers are on top, expressives are on the bottom right side. So 4 quadrants. Top right is the driver, bottom right is the expressive. On the other side of the box, the other 2 quadrants is the amiable on the bottom left and the analytical on the top left. So the more relationship oriented you are, you're going to be focused more towards the bottom half, right? The amiables and the expressive. The less relationship oriented you are, you're going to be focused on the top half of the box, the analytic and the driver, where it's more task and a purpose as opposed to the relationship. Now, the way you like to be talked to is also a little bit differently. Do you like to direct and tell, or do you like to ask and listen? The left side of the box is more ask and listen. The right side of the box is more direct and tell. That's just how we work, as people. And just because you think you're a driver or you're an expressive or an amiable doesn't mean you're always that. We kind of just drift in and out of these, boxes, these drivers, these social styles, depending on the situation where, I may not feel comfortable in a networking event, but I feel great on stage, right? So, or you might not feel comfortable around strangers, but you feel awesome around your friends. We react differently based on the situation that we're put in, is basically what I'm saying. So we're going to be I'm going to break down how to deal with each one of those, how to identify and then deal with each one of them. But first, I do want to remind you that you can go to 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐵𝐞.com for all these show notes, everything that I'm going through. I've actually written a blog where I've got that social box. So if you want to know more about that, you can check that out on the blog or in the podcast. If you want to know about that, that's where you're going to get it, as 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐵𝐞.com on the podcast or the blog page. Okay, back to it. Now, I said there was driver, expressive, amiable, and analytic. Let me tell you about the driver. The driver, he's task and purpose oriented. They just want the facts. They're not afraid of confrontation. They don't want their time wasted, and they can make a quick decision, right? And you're going to be able to tell that because they're kind of hard driving. I mean, my first job in life, I was a state trooper. I mean, believe it or not, I had a little bit of driver personality, right? I had 3 steps that I went through. It was ask, tell, and make, right? That's how we talk to people. But here's how you deal with a driver personality, right? And it's the 3 B's, right? It's the 3 B's of dealing with a driver personality. It's be bright, which means be, as smart as you can, give them all the facts, because again, they'll make a quick decision about you and maybe what you're trying to sell. So that's the first one, is be bright. The second one is be bold, right? Don't cower to them. Again, they're not afraid of confrontation, but they want somebody that actually has, the ability to talk to them without feeling intimidated, right? So be bright, be bold, and then the last one is be gone, right? Get out of their face, which is don't waste their time. So say what you've got to say it with confidence, and then move on. And if you have a product or you have a service that you're trying to deliver to them, they'll make a quick decision just based on what you say. So that's how you're going to deal with the driver personality. And the next one is the expressive. Now, the expressive personality is that person that you've probably seen them. When you go to a networking event, they're the ones that are telling the big stories, and people just kind of huddle around them, and they're the cheerleader types, and they love moving from project to project and working with others. They just like the thrill of a new environment or a new project, right? So, and here's the thing about the expressive personality is that they're so excited about everything that's new and everything that's going on that they don't pay attention to a lot of details, right? They like high level, they like the strategy, they like the idea. But when it comes to nailing them down, to making a decision or actually doing a project, that person, you can really only believe about 50% of the things that come off their lips. And not because of their liars, right? They're not liars. It's just that they don't pay attention to detail. So if you want to be successful dealing with an expressive personality, you've got to be the detail person. You've got to be the one to keep them on task, to make sure that they're doing each step in the step that it needs to be done in. So that's how you work with an expressive personality. Now, the next one's amiable. And what I'm doing is just kind of working around the 4 quadrants in a box. I'm starting at the top right and moving down the bottom right, and now I'm over onto the bottom left. And the amiable personality, those are the ones that are kind of shy, right? They're a little bit shy. They're the ones that sit at the back of the classroom and hope they don't get called on, or they're at a networking event and they're kind of off to the side, interested in what's going on, but not necessarily engaging and not trying to be the center of attention. Now, believe it or not, all of us are amiable at certain parts of our, in our lives. We can be amiable just in our family's living room, if new people come in or other people have bigger personalities. It's okay. Here's the thing about amiable personalities is that it takes a long time to build trust with an amiable personality. And what I mean by that is they're just kind of watching you, right? They're watching, they're making sure that, you're not going to hurt them in any way and that everything feels comfortable. It takes a long time to build trust. And trust to me is a mathematical equation, and that's the evidence of integrity over time. Right? The more often you do what you say you're going to do, the more often you're in the place that you say you're going to be, the more they're going to trust you. Now, here's the thing. When you gain their trust, you have it for life, right? They're there with you for life because they now feel comfortable. You're part of their group. And guess what? You're going to see their real personality, not who they were in that situation where you met them. You're going to see their real personality and be able to really build a long-term, beautiful relationship with that person. And the last one's the analytical. The analytical, now I'm on the top left part of the box, top left part. Analytical people like everything in nice, neat little boxes, nice rows. Everything is just in order. When they see steps, they like to see every step. Step A, step B, step C, step D. They like to see them all. If one step is out of order, it freezes them, right? They get paralyzed. You probably even heard somebody say this before. It says, man, I just can't make a decision here. There's just not enough information. And what's happened is that person, there's a missing step. They can't make the connection, where maybe some people can go from step A to step B. Step C is kind of vague, but you can see how they got to step D. you have to fill in the blank. You can't leave a blank spot. You can't be vague. You've got to tell them how logically it went from step A to step D without missing a step or being vague enough where they can't understand it. So if you're going to be successful there, fill in the blanks, right? So, and what's interesting is you notice where I've been saying right hand of the box and left hand of the box. Yeah, that also corresponds to parts of our brain, which is, are you left-brained or right-brained? So the drivers and the expressives on the right side of the box, those are people who are more right-brained. The left side of the brain, analyticals and amiables, they're on the left side, right? So they're left-brained. Here's an interesting statistic. It's been said that about 80% of small business owners are right-brained. They're either drivers or expressives. Now, opposite of that, about 80% of bankers and accountants are left-brained, right? They're analytical or amiable. So it's interesting to see those people try to talk to each other, right? Because, one likes the facts and figures, the other one likes the excitement of the build and the task and the result. Well, think about it. That creates problems in our communication with each other, from, the small business owner to our trusted advisors. Because here's an example. Business owner walks in super excited. Hey, I got this great idea. I'm going to pitch it to you. I want to get it in front of you. And the accountant or the banker stops him and says, hey, slow down. I'm going to need 3 years worth of tax returns. I'm going to need these income statements, balance sheets. Oh. Well, the business owner is still excited, says, don't worry about that. I've done it before. You've seen me do it. I'm really excited about this idea. And the banker, the business, or the accountant says, yes, sir, I still need 3 years tax returns, income statements, balance sheets. Well, what's happened is they're not communicating the same way. One comes in with a lot of excitement. The other one has process driven, right? What would happen if the business owner came in with that excitement and said, hey, I got this great idea. I think you can help me. I'm going to need a loan. And he's talking to the banker. But the banker goes, man, I tell you what, I'm excited for you because I know you've been successful on these other things. This is going to be a great thing. Hey, before we begin, I'm going to need, 3 years tax returns, income statement, balance sheet. What they've done is match it. When I said in the beginning that a successful business owner has to be a chameleon, that applies to all of us. If the banker would match the excitement, match the way the person is talking, they can be more successful in that conversation. It doesn't instantly turn somebody off. So if you're having a bad day, like the business owner I mentioned at the top of the show, if you're having a bad day, you can't project that back onto your customer who's excited about doing business with you. You've got to be able to match the level of excitement or the way that they like to communicate within your company. That's how you're going to build your network. That's how you're going to interact better at parties. That's how you're going to be better in your relationships. So what you've got to do is just ask yourself 2 questions. When you're looking at somebody and talking to somebody, here's the 2 questions you ask. Is this person more interested in people and relationships or task and results? Remember, we start to divide up the box. Then the next question is, do they like to ask and listen or tell and direct? Now you've put them in a quadrant. Once you know if they're a driver or an expressive or an amiable or an analytical person, you can match their style, right? And that's being a chameleon. That's matching their style and communicating with them, and they'll get that feeling that they can't understand of why they like you, but they don't know why, right? So if you want to make friends and influence people, you can read Dale Carnegie or just match your social style. So, hey, I want to thank you for listening today. And I'll tell you what, I want to hear that you've made it, right? I want you to be one of those people in the room that they think he's just got it made or she's just got it made. So if you remember to go to Cashflow Mike, you can get these show notes, and you got, if you have any questions, you can give me those over the podcast or over the podcast page or the blog page. You've got information on this social styles model there. And remember to go to YouTube and subscribe. Cashflow Mike is what you search for my channel. And then, of course, if you're listening to iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play, I can be found there under the Clear Path to Cash podcast. And finally, hey, remember, if you want to support the show for $4.99, you can support the show for $4.99, and I will send you my 5 silent killers of cash flow webinar. It's not really a webinar. It's a full video course and downloadable resources. So the 5 silent killers of cash flow is yours for supporting the show for just the small token of $4.99. And I want to thank you one more time. My name is Cashflow Mike, and you've been listening to the Clear Path to Cash podcast. And thank you so much. And remember, this is a new catchphrase I'm trying out. You guys tell me if it's terrible. Remember, don't be a dumb business owner, right? And dumb, I got to tell you this up front, because if you hear it in the future, you're going to say, hey, you just called us dumb. No, dumb to me is not unintelligent. It's D period, U period, M period, B period. D-U-M-B. It means you don't understand my business. So don't be a dumb business owner. Understand your business and make sure cash is at the front of it.